Hey, everybody, I'm Pastor Darren with Grace Centers of Hope and Grace Gospel Fellowship, and we are so glad that you are watching today or listening to a new podcast, the Grace Centered Podcast. We have an incredible story for you today, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. I think you're going to be encouraged by, just this. I've been really looking forward to Lisa sharing her story. And again, just the power of God working in somebody's life. The gospel is so powerful. There's nobody that is far too good or too far gone for the power of the gospel. If you want to learn more about Grace Centers of Hope, you can go to gracecentersofhope.org, or about our church, Grace Gospel Fellowship. You can go to gracegospelfellowship.org. But I want to hold this up. This is Lisa. I want to introduce you to Lisa. Hi. And I'm just going to let you run with it, share your story. I think people are going to be blown away by what God has done in your life.
Right. Yeah, he has been so good. So growing up, I was raised in a church. We were born into the Catholic faith. So I knew about God, but I really didn't feel loved by God. And I blamed God for everything that happened bad to me because I didn't have a good childhood. You know, my mom was a single mom because my father was a heroin addicted alcoholic. So they were divorced before I was out of diapers. My mom had problems with mental illness, so she was in and out of institutions all growing up. And because of the that kind of stigma against the mentally ill and the addiction back in the 70s. And we were poor. So even our own family didn't like us. They were embarrassed of us and, ashamed. And nobody ever really wanted to, help out whenever mom was in the hospital. So my grandma, her mother, took us in. And I was about 11 years old. And this time my mom was in the hospital and we were living with my grandmother. And there was an incident at the psychiatric hospital and they gave her some electric shock therapy. And it actually paralyzed her from the neck down and it put her in like a vegetated catatonic state. Like she remained that way. She was 36 years old till she was like 58. So she stayed like institutionalized until she passed away. So, but at that point, for the next 3 years, my sister and I were living with my grandparents. And so that was from 11 to 14. And my grandma was really strict. She had a lot of prejudice and a lot of opinions.
Where'd you grow up?
So this was in Detroit. My grandmother grew up in Detroit. We were living in Warren. But because of, like I said, she had all these proclivities, she would drive us every morning from Detroit to Warren because we still had the house that we grew up in, and we just would pick the bus up there so we could still go to the Warren Woods Public Schools. So she would drive us every single day and then pick us up every single day. But when we got to her house, we were kind of like forced to stay inside on the porch or in the backyard because she said it was a bad neighborhood, riddled with gangs and drugs, and it was. It wasn't the best neighborhood.
Let me just back up here for a minute. So, did you know your dad?
I met him. I remember one time when I was 8 years old, and he showed up. This is when we were still living at my mom's house, and my mom was around, like drunk with his new girlfriend.
So, were they ever married?
They were married. Yeah, they were divorced. Yeah, I have one older sister, and then I was the second. But like I said before. I was even 2 years old. They were divorced.
Okay.
Yeah. But so I didn't really know him, and he was never around. He was too busy. He was a drug addict and alcoholic.
But your mom wasn't?
No. But my mom had the mental illness.
Yeah.
So she had all of those problems.
So share. I think that people will, I don't know, there's such a crazy story really about just your mom. I know we got a lot to get to,
we do.
but I do think this is so, like, whenever you tell me this story, I think of One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
About the actual, so the incident, like I said, usually it was common for her to go in, maybe 30 days, get her medication.
Because at the time, this is the 70s.
Yeah. But I'm saying she would stop taking medicine. Like a lot of people that have problems, when they feel good, like I don't need these medications, and they stop, and then that's when they have their little setback. So we were kind of used to that happening, and usually she would go in 30 days, maybe 45, like not
And
not
what would you
long.
guys do in the meantime? Go live with your grandma during those
Grandma,
times?
yeah, because
Okay.
nobody wanted to take care of us. There was a couple of times her sister came, like that would be my great aunt, would stay at the house with us when it was like when it seemed to be like short term, but we weren't loved. We weren't
Mhm.
liked even by my family.
Yeah.
There was issues
Did
didn't even
they any did any of them have mental illness too, or was it
no, but
just
they
you?
were like I don't want to how what's the proper word? Like they were social climbers. Like, they had money, good jobs, they wanted nice things, and
They
we were
didn't want to
like
be associated with all you.
we were poor, like, kids, with, dirty clothes and like an addict father and a crazy mother. It was just, yeah.
So she goes in there one of these times.
When I was 11, this time, because like I said, normally it'd be short term, a few weeks up to a month at the most, just to get her back regulated on medication. And this time it was taking a little bit longer. And so we were getting her on day passes, like on a Sunday, and we would pick her up, take her out to eat, spend a few hours with her, and then drop her back off. So things happened like during the week because I think we had mentioned we talked about like then the 70s, like you said, there was no cell phones, this and that. It was like rotary dial touch tone phones to collect calls, and the collect calls were crazy expensive. Like the monthly phone bill, I remember like grandma and my stepfather complaining about it was like twice as much as the house mortgage. So she put her foot down. Like I said, my grandma was like the Donna of the family. She was in charge of everything. Like tell her only one phone call a week, my mother. So when he refused the phone calls and then she never called back on that Thursday, I remember when we went to pick her up Sunday, the staff said, well, she don't want to see you. She's refusing the visit. And we're like, oh yeah, she's pissed. Like she don't want to see us. And we get it. Like, so we just leave and then nothing the whole week. We don't hear from her the whole week again. And we show up again Sunday, going to take her out, and the same thing. Like she doesn't want to see you. She doesn't want to talk to you. She's refusing the visit. So we leave. But my grandma, like, she goes when she drives us the next morning to the bus stop and we go to school. It was actually a state hospital here in Pontiac. She drives out here. And
At Clinton Valley.
Clinton Valley, yeah, over on it was on Telegraph and Elizabeth, I think.
Yeah, I know right where it was.
Yeah, and she goes and they tried to tell her the same thing, like she don't want to see you. She's refusing the visit, and she's like, "Well, that's my daughter. I'm not leaving until I see her." And when they brought her out, and this is because I wasn't there. My grandma said like she was in a wheelchair and she was slumped over, and she was half dead. They said, well, we don't know what happened to her and she's refusing to eat. But she couldn't even talk. Like she was definitely like at that point, they called the EMS and rushed her to Pontiac General. She had 104 fever. All her organs were already starting to fail. So obviously there was no way she refused a visit because she wasn't even coherent. She didn't even have no speech. They were just trying to hide her from us, hoping that we would go away. Like a lot of times when people have like psych problems, a lot of times they get abandoned and they just get committed and the family never because we were the only ones that would go. Her own brother and sister never went once in the 20 years she was in the hospital, maybe once or twice in 20 years. And that was when she was first there. They just like never thought about her again. But so I remember the grandma picking us up and she says, tomorrow we have to go see your mother because the doctor had told her like she's not going to make it. Like her organs are in failure. She's like 104 going on 105, like everything's boiling inside of her. I remember walking into the room and she was in this big metal tub of ice, like a big, like just nothing but ice, just naked up to her neck in ice. And I think that was to get the fever down. And I
And she was paralyzed.
we didn't know it at the time, but yeah, after like somehow she came, like her body like came out of it, like because the doctor was telling us like prepare for a funeral, like get ready, like she's gonna die.
Yeah, we have no idea what happened. I mean, they're denying you these visits or saying that
That
she
she
doesn't
denied
want,
it, right?
and then your grandma like insists to see her,
Like I'm not leaving.
and it turns out she's basically can't talk, really was actually
She was
paralyzed.
slumped over. My grandma said she was just hanging over the
And we
side
have
of the
no
wheelchair.
idea what happened.
Yeah,
Just crazy.
right.
And then for the next, 20 some years, she was basically.
So she was at the Pontiac General getting stabilized. Like I said, all of a sudden the fever broke. She's healing, whatever. And they had to have a nurse that was from staff from the Clinton Valley place to keep watch over because she was still technically a patient of theirs. Right. And that's how we found out that she was given that electric shock therapy because my grandmother stole some of her notes, her file, because there's no computers back then. There's nothing on record, right? There's like my grandma actually, when we seen that, it said the EST. Apparently, there was like some fire at 2 a.m, and everybody was like, I don't want to say the crazies were going crazier, but something like that, and they just passed out a bunch of medication that she had some kind of reaction to, and to calm her down from that. Then they gave her the electric shock therapy, which they overstimulated, whatever happened.
Wow.
But
And
yeah.
did your grandma or any of the family ever try to learn more about it? Or
So, this is not call 1-800-SAM Bernstein. They want a $25,000 retainer in this. And my grandma, being the frugal woman that she was not going to invest that kind of money into something that we probably weren't going to be able to, it's hard to sue. It was a state of Michigan hospital.
Right. Wow. So, yeah, what were you feeling at the time?
I'm honestly,
you're like 10.
I was 11.
11.
My sister was 12. Like literally just turned like 12, I think. And then she turned 13, because it happened like in those months. Like she went in when I was 11, whatever. But I guess, I always was a selfish kid. Because my first thought wasn't like, poor mom. It was like, oh my God, we're stuck at grandma's now.
Okay.
Like we're never coming home. Like we kind of, this was like in the first 90 days of that incarceration at 11 years when she went in, or hospitalization, not incarceration. So now we know, we're never coming back. Like I said, I had a stepfather. Like my mom had remarried when we were like 6 or 7 or 8 years old, somewhere around there. But my grandma would not let us stay there because there was an issue had been molested by a cousin like a long time, and that was a lot of the animosity in the family too, because it was our fault. Our kids, like me and my sister, and that's why they didn't want us around. Like if they just got rid of us, they could not remember or not speak about it or not deal with it. So,
had you had any kind of relationship with the church or God at all at that point in your life?
Like I said, my grandmother, we were raised in a Catholic church, but she came from the old country. She was Polish. So we would go to like the 10:30 Polish mass where they spoke in Polish. So we I'm not receiving anything. We went to catechism. I knew all the basic. I knew about Noah. I knew about the Jonah and the whale. I knew about the 10 Commandments. Every Easter we would watch The Greatest Story Told. Moses. The 10 Commandments. I had that memorized, but not really. And it really, my perception of God was very twisted at the time, because nobody really explained it to me that it was an act of love. Because I see that he had sent his son to die for us. Like, you did that to your own son. Like, what am I? Like, I'm a nobody. What do you care about me if you could do that to your own flesh and blood?
You remember thinking something like that when you were back there, 8, 9, 10,
For
11?
a long time,
Really?
even up and into adulthood, I had this, because it was obvious God didn't love me. He didn't love my sister. He allowed all those things to happen. My mother, how does that even happen? Like all I can remember is just like all the neglect, the unwanted, the rejection, all those feelings of abandonment. And then, so now, like, fast forward 3 years later, we're back and forth every day with grandma, going driving, and we're getting older, and we want to like have fun, like all of our friends at school. And we convinced her that we're old enough, at 14 and 15, to spend one night over at my stepfather's, which is my mother's house. Like after we get off of school on Friday, maybe stay Friday night.
Was your
Saturday.
house?
Well, my mother's.
Well,
yeah,
you're right. I mean,
but that's where we grew up,
like
right?
your room was there probably, or
It
whatever.
still was. Yeah, we each had our own little bed. It was a 3-bedroom brick ranch. It was a beautiful house, and so she agreed. And then we would stay after school on Friday. When we got off the bus, we could stay Friday night, Saturday, and then Sunday, she would pick us up. We would go out to eat as a family, and then go visit my mother. every Sunday at the hospital, because actually they had to like they sent word while she was still at the Pontiac General that she couldn't return to because they weren't long-term care.
Right.
So we
Yeah, I
shipped
just
her off
find
to
that to
another.
be, yeah, it just is crazy, of what, as much as we, people talk about, like even this incident where somebody was mentally ill, stabbing these people up in Traverse City,
Yeah.
there's such a, in one sense, a need for some kind of like institutions or hospitals to help people who are really mentally ill. But then you hear of stories, like of your mom who, it's like going into the Hotel California or something.
Never
You
coming
go,
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
you'd go in and you never come out, and then get no explanation as to one time when your mom,
And mind
like
you, she
electric
was
shock treatment, all these,
36 years old, like
yeah.
basically like in the prime of her life, like healthy woman aside, her mind,
Mhm.
but physically, like she didn't have like,
And
you
she
know,
was basically at that point, yeah, you said that she never got out.
no.
And I remember you were telling me you had to feed her and stuff. So, I mean, she wasn't capable of
She
taking
she
care of
she
herself
she
like at
was
all.
she was paralyzed from the neck down, and she had no like she couldn't speak, and we pretty much she was fried, like because she couldn't even make eye contact,
Mm.
like and she would like moan and cry, and it was
Wow.
disturbing, but yeah, my grandma used to make these bananas and strawberries and yogurt and whip it up in the blender, and she would have me spoon feed her when I'd go visit her.
Yeah, I can't even imagine
Yeah.
what that was like for as a young girl. So, yeah, your grandma eventually, because you couldn't live with your stepdad, he didn't want you guys there. So
No,
there's
grandma didn't want us there because she
okay,
was afraid of bad things
right,
happening
because it had already happened
with
previous
family,
somebody
with
else.
blood, and he's not even blood. So,
Yeah,
But so there was one of the incidences on. So she always would, try to keep us in line. Like, say, if you do something wrong, you're both in trouble, kind of thing. And if I do something, then we're both in trouble. To me and my sister. And like I said, I was 14, she was 15, and we at the roller skating rink. She had met this guy. He might have been like 18, 19. He was over 18. She was 15, and they ended up running away in a stolen car to Florida.
it's always Florida. I always think that
Go to the
everybody
beach
from
and
Michigan
go
who's
to
like on the
Miami.
run, it's always Florida. Yeah.
But they got caught pretty quick. But so when Grandma showed up Sunday to pick us up and take us out to visit my mother, like, where's Denise? And I'm like, well, I don't know.
You didn't want to say because if you were busted too.
I mean, it doesn't really matter at this point. Like, she's not there. So does it matter if I know where she went or not? Like, she's not here. I don't know where she is. And so we wait. I play the waiting game with Grandma for like an hour, and then there's like, well, I'll just go. And so like the very next day, like I go to school like normal, and it was like fourth period. So like it's crazy like the details that I can remember. But being in my home ec class, we're cooking pork chops, and they called me out to go to the office, and there was two men in suits, and they said Grandma called social service and said she can't take care of you any longer, and you got to come with us. So yeah, my sister runs away in a stolen car, and I end up, bottom line, I was my grandma like signed off rights. She terminated all like responsibility to me, and I became a ward of the estate. And then I stayed in like this abuse and neglect center for about a month, and then a temporary foster care. This lady named Connie ran, and then I was shipped off to Vista Maria, and it's a group home for troubled teens, girls only,
Yeah.
in
So
Dearborn
there's
Heights.
probably some people who are listening or watching. Like, what does it even mean that you're a ward of the state?
That means that the state is in charge of your life, like state property. I mean, sure, a lot of these felons can relate to state property. It's the same thing as if you're like a MDOC person.
Mm-hmm.
They make all your decisions. You do what they say. Like they're your parents.
Yeah, you're the property of the state at that point.
Yep.
They have authority.
I had a
and
case
everything.
manager, like a social worker that made all my decisions.
Wow.
And Vista Maria wasn't a great place. I mean, it was.
How old were you at the time?
I was 14.
So yeah,
Just
not
about
only
15.
yeah, so there's like the sexual abuse years before, even before, yeah, you're poor, so then your family wants nothing to do with you because of the the sexual abuse stuff that you kind of brought to the light, and your mom at that point was already struggling in and out of institutions, but
But
then
now she had been there for 3
she'd
years
been there,
solid
yeah,
already.
so then
Yeah.
she's become
She's written
paralyzed and
off.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
Then you're living with your grandma, and at this point, you're now she signs you over to be the ward of state. I will tell you that, and I think this is important for people to think about, because I know my initial reaction when you've told me that before was to think there's got to be more to the story. Like
That I had to do something.
yes, exactly. Like
Yeah.
to get your grandma to be like finally the end of her rope, but like
You
it
know,
really wasn't the case.
No, not at all. And so like I said, there was the other family members, my mom's sister and her brother, not so much the brother, but the sister for sure. They growing up always had problems together. And then that was her son was the one that did that to my sister and me.
Okay.
So she would come and visit every week over. That's her mother too, and we could hear Darlene telling my grandmother, like, "Mom, you don't have to take care of them. They're a play," and just kept planting those seeds, and like pushing on her. You and Dad should be enjoying your retirement. You haven't gone on a cruise since you've had, because they used to go on a cruise every year. They used to go to Hawaii. Actually, they even took us to Hawaii one time because they had nowhere to put us. So me and my sister actually got to go to a Hawaii like before I got put in the state.
And you heard that stuff, and so you felt that stuff.
We
like you were
knew
just
it
baggage.
even back then because like at holidays they had at my grandma had the big chandelier and the big table and all the china and all the like glass, and me and my sister had to sit in the kitchen because there wasn't enough room for those 2 extra chairs. But all my other cousins got to sit with the adults. Like we were just set apart the whole time. Like we could feel it. There's times we'd show up like, yeah, you just felt so just like I could feel it.
So
like
all
they
these,
don't want us here. Like you're just unwanted, you're unloved, and all the rejection. Grandma, I wasn't even sure if Grandma loved us. I think she only did it because that was the right thing to do. She was very big on everything fair, everything equal, everything across the board.
And then this one it seems
But like I said,
one
and she warned us, and she, like I said, she was very like adamant. If you do something wrong, you're both. And she would threaten social service on us all the time to try to keep us in line. Not that we did anything, because I honestly, literally, I learned to embroider, I learned to sew, I learned to play the organ, I learned to speak Polish. Like I did all these things with my grandmother, like baking and gardening and all this other stuff. Like we didn't even have toys. We had like one baby doll, and we had to make our own clothes for it. We had with the wheel sewing machine and the pedal. Like that's
it sounds like you grew up in the 1800s or something.
Well, Grandma did, so we were raised by Grandma.
Yeah, that's a good.
And
point.
we had like just the 2 baby dolls and a box of material and some spoons. We could go out in the backyard and dig dirt.
Wow,
like that was like our entertainment.
So yeah, at 14, you end up at Vista Maria, which is this basically a group home for troubled kids,
teens,
they're all ward of the states there.
Mostly like there was 4. It was set up like almost like a college campus, 4 main buildings and a big school on grounds. Where I went to originally was for the abused and neglected. The unwanted kids that were, but I ran away from there so many times. And I get caught. They eventually put me into the lockdown section with all the juvenile delinquent kids.
What was it like living in there on a daily basis?
They had what they called a token economy system. You had to earn points every day to qualify for having a good day. Like you would get 5 you could earn, and not that they took away points, you could earn up to 5 points for doing your chore correctly. Like they would go around with their fingers on the window ledges. If there was dust, you would fail to earn a point. You would fail to earn a point for whatever. But these points were accumulated, and after all these good days, you could advance up levels and get more privileges, like a day out or whatever. But we used those points also to buy like our necessary shampoo, socks, underwear, things like your parents should be buying you for free. They had a closet. You had to take your points. Like you had to be good just to get toothpaste.
Wow. Were there kids that didn't get that stuff, or?
Well, I mean, it's kind of, you would just stay stuck on level 1. Like you would always, like you would still get enough points to get the hygiene, but it's just the point that they made you spend points to get that stuff.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't imagine at that age and stuff, and just what a sense of.
And it was, we weren't. I mean, there was abuse there too. We'll just leave it
Yeah.
at that.
Yeah.
We go
By
to school all
staff?
year round. Yeah,
Really?
yeah, and and you know,
Was it male staff too, or was it all females?
yes, and that was the thing because now this is like
Now, were you
1982.
with all girls?
It's an
Yeah.
all girls,
Okay.
but back then this is the 80s. Like it's like it wasn't uncommon for if you caused problems to get taken to a seclusion room and stripped down by a man officer.
Really?
Yeah,
Jeez. Yeah, I can
yeah.
only imagine.
So yeah, it wasn't, you know, but I, you know, just and at this point, like I mean, I never really cried out to God, but my heart was full of sorrow. Like, why am I not loved? Like, why can't I have a family? That's all I really want. Like, I want to love somebody. I want somebody to love me.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, desperate for love.
And could you would you have been able to express that or is that just sort of like looking back now that's what you really wanted? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, no, no. That's all I really cared about.
Okay.
Like, wanting just to be a part of a family.
Wow.
Because just being rejected and unwanted my whole entire life. But so I was there for 3 years because you go to school all year round because there's no summer break. There's no summer vacation in a state ward. So I think I was 16. I was a senior. Like I was already in the 12th grade, and then like my birthday's in June, so I turned 17, and then I have to finish the semester over the summer, and then I graduate high school in September. So I still have like 9 more months before I'm 18. So I'm really still a minor, but I'm graduated high school. I'm technically an adult. So they emancipate me, which means they sever, even the state severs ties. Like like here you go, like you're an adult, like here. But oddly enough, even though I'm emancipated, I can't even get a driver's license because you have to have an adult, even though you're emancipated. Like I had nobody to even sign for. I had to wait till my 18th birthday to even get a driver's license.
Wow.
But they did give me like independent living checks, and I ended up going to that lady Connie's house, the emergency foster care woman. She had stopped doing the emergency foster care and got like a regular secretarial job or something, but she still had that upstairs dormer available. So I just turned over my checks to her. I got like a check every 2 weeks, like $150 every 2 weeks, maybe something like that. I can't even remember, or was it for the whole month? I don't even know. But whatever it was, she got it just for me to stay there, room and board, and whatnot. And then I was got the to go to school. I got 2 jobs as hostess, like within walking distance at 2 restaurants, and going to school. And something happened with her family where her sister moved in with her 3 kids, and it just got overwhelming. And I finally like I'm taking care of these kids. I'm trying to like hold down 2 jobs, go to school, like get an education, like college. Um, and I finally begged my grandma, like, "God, can I just come? Can I move in with you, please? I just really need a place to crash because I'm busy all day long." And she let me move in, and that's where I met my husband. He lived across the street from my friend that I worked at this because by then I was working. I got a job at some wire paneling, like wired panels, like read the blueprints, stripped them, and like put the control boxes together, whatever. Like the end of the line, not the field stuff. And so we worked together, and I was over at her house, and the guy that lived across the street was from my grandma's neighborhood, not far away, and actually was a member of the church that we belonged to with my grandmother. And like basically like started getting my, so this is my very first boyfriend ever, like because I obviously didn't date at the group home, right? And we ended up getting married within a year. So I'm like 18, 19, married at 20, got pregnant on my honeymoon. Um, like literally 9 months almost to the day my first child was born, and then within a few months we have our second child. And this is like the best time of my life. These 3, I'm like loving it. I'm I'm cleaning house, I'm doing dishes, I'm making meals, I'm having, because it was his family. When we started dating, when I go over to his house and I would see like how they like looked, I was like amazed. Like they would have each other over for dinner for no reason. Like it wasn't something nobody's birthday or something special. We're just gonna have a barbecue.
They actually like each other.
Yes. And when things happen, like I remember when the great grandmother, like the grandmother's mother, when they didn't put her in a home. They went over there every day and fed her and took care of her. And the sisters took turns. Like I was like what? Like this is so great. Like, oh my gosh, this is what I want. And not that Mark was a bad guy, because he was great, but I knew that he would have that same, in, like instilled in him, to be a provider for the family and be, because of the way he was raised.
Yeah, that family that you always wanted,
The
and that love.
dream life it
Yeah.
was. And like I said, like even like at 6 months pregnant, on my like first holiday, I made the turkey. I had everybody over. I was like it was just great. And then so, and like he was also Catholic. He was raised and like at the same church, like I said. So we were raising ours but in the same fashion that I was raised, like Easter and Christmas only, and maybe a couple times during the year, dress the kids up and go. But we're still like, we went we had to go to the church for this preparation class for Nicholas's. That was the youngest. He was 20, my oldest was almost 2, and then Nicholas was about a month old. And we had the preparation class for the baptism. It was like a Friday night, 7 o'clock at night or something. My mother-in-law was watching both boys. When we came done after the class and we came home, they were both put in bed already. I had the C-section, so I was sleeping on the couch because it was too hard to get in and out. So I was, kind of like propped up, and I had the cradle next to me. So when he would wake up, I was nursing. I could just feed him and put him back down without even getting off the couch. It was convenience. And the next thing I know, like that Saturday, like that next morning, my 2-year-old came running up and he started like banging on my shoulder, and he wanted his cereal. And I realized like my son hadn't got up the whole night. And I felt it like in my gut, like I knew like he was dead. I don't even know how that thought popped in my head, because that's not your first sane thought. And when I leaned over and I picked him up, like at first he looked like he was just sleeping, but when I picked him up, the whole side of his face was purple. Wow. He had died of sudden death syndrome, SIDS. Wow. Never heard of it before. Like, and it was just a whole bunch of panic. And I was alone in the house because my husband had to work. He was on overtime, so I was there by myself with my 2-year-old, and just like frantic. And 911 wasn't even hooked up in every county back then. So they were just starting to implement it around. This was in 1991.
Okay.
When this happened. And so from there on, life just got like super crazy. Like I was in fear.
It hadn't been crazy.
Well, I mean, but I had them 3 years of like golden years. Them 3 like fabulous years, because we got married in 88 and this was 91. So them 3 years were like a lifetime of happiness in 3 years. It was like, I can't even describe how happy I was.
From the greatest high then to the lowest of lows. That's just terrible. I can't even imagine.
His family, like I said, they were well grounded in faith in a good way, like and would be encouraging, and I had all the right things, and I just hated God. Like at that moment on, like I already didn't really care for him too much because of the way I had been treated my whole life, and I felt like the feeling was mutual. Like he didn't care about me, I don't care about him, but I'll be respectful, and I wanted to raise them, and respect this, whatever. So we began fighting a lot. He wanted more babies. I couldn't even be around the one that I had, because there's a possibility it could still happen up to like 5 years of age. So now I'm like checking his pulse, putting stuffed animals on his belly so I could look from the doorway to watch the animal going up, like just doing such. And then now I'm afraid of being like crazy like my mother.
Yeah.
Because it runs in the family. Like, all great.
So you're like obsessive, compulsive all the time.
I thought I was having a heart attack. Mind you, I was only 24 at the time, I think. I have chest pains. I actually went and had like the echocardio, all that EKG and all that stuff done, but it was panic attacks. Like where you get that chest pain, that grip, and you can't lift your arm, and it was finally, I told my husband, I said, you have to go and you have to take him with you.
Wow.
Like I kicked them out. Well, I'd never mentioned, like we took over my mother's house, like after, because that was like one of the gifts that Grandma gave us, like to encourage us to get married. Like you can have Louisa's house. She gave us her diamond from her first marriage. Like she gave like everything just to, because you can't stay here forever. That was like from the minute I moved in. She let me move in at 17, but it was like, can't stay here forever. That's why I was like first boyfriend, marry, this, that, like, and whatever. And then out. But like I said, he was, I mean, it was a gold mine find, really, like with the family and everything. It just so happened it fell apart. Like I truly believe if my second child hadn't passed away, we probably would have had 6 more babies and, you know, like who knows?
Wow, what a terrible turn this takes. So yeah, you basically you're
Just like a neurotic. And so, and it was to the point like, so he has family. So he moved in with his parents and they were helping take care of him because I have nobody. I never had nobody. So there was nobody going to help me. And I wasn't going to be that single mother on welfare and like put my kid through what I went through. Right. I had a good job. By this time, I'm a certified dental assistant. And this is, like I said, in the 90s, I was making 14 and a half back then, like $14 an hour back then. Right. And so I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot nowadays, but we're talking, 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really good money. So I would only have my son on the weekends. And even still, I would still be like, even though now he's growing up, he's like 6, 7, 8 years old. I'm still afraid. It's not even just of the SIDS, of any kind of accident. He could drown in the bathtub. He could get hit by a car. He could like anything. I'm just like, just a total mess the whole time he's there. And literally couldn't wait to take him back to his grandmother's on Sunday. Just couldn't wait to get him there. So one time I was taking him back. I happened to run into a friend at a red light. I happened to turn sideways, and it was this girl that I went to school with back in from the good old days, when I was in Macomb County schooling, and like my childhood friend that I grew up from kindergarten up. And I was like, "Oh, you got to come to my apartment. We'll like talk for a while." And she was like going to the bathroom quite a bit, and I like was concerned. But now this time I'm 29 because that happened like the divorce. Now like 6 years, I'm just living in total panic all the time and just working and just surviving, just getting by barely, mentally, just because life just was crazy. And so turns out she was smoking crack. Okay. And of course I want to try. Yeah. The very first time I tried, and I knew at that moment I was an addict from that first hit.
How old were you then?
29.
29.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? I know I wasn't
Hadn't done any drugs or anything previous to that?
I mean, I probably smoked a joint in the 9th, like before, like I went to Vista Maria. Okay. I do remember smoking a joint out on the back because actually back at Tower, at Tower High School, they had a smoke dock back then. Like you could smoke cigarettes out back then in high school. Mm-hmm. And even at Vista Maria, they gave us cigarettes for free. Like we stand once an hour, every hour we'd stand in line. They would light our cigarette. We'd go in the back room and smoke.
Wow.
Crazy, right? But anyway, so yeah, I did like try. I remember smoking weed one time, but it was crazy. I didn't like that because I went to my class and I just knew everybody knew, and I was just like all like zoned out. Yeah. But I had no need for it back then. Mm-hmm. Like whereas this, like that euphoria took me to a place where I had no panic, I had no anxiety because I had no care because I didn't even have no care about who or what or anybody. Like it was honestly, and I'm this is probably the worst thing you could say, when you talk about getting off of drugs and alcohol, but I loved it. I loved that escape.
Yeah, well, you didn't keep doing it because you hated it.
No. I mean, but I loved it so much that within 6 months, because now I'm spending all my money on drugs, and like I said, I was making really good money, and now my paychecks aren't even enough to keep me going because I'm trying to get high every day. And I'm like not even wanting to pick my kid up on the weekend. And I end up basically, I would like drive my car down to 8 Mile, park my car and walk 8 Mile in my dental scrubs, in my work uniform, and jump into strangers' cars and do whatever I had to do to get money from them so I could keep getting high all night.
So this is the part I need to understand this part better.
Yeah.
And I think you've shared this before. But like, yeah, so where did you
pick up the idea that was even possible?
I mean, because like it's not like you're
out of nowhere.
You're
you just
too unique, in the sense that like I've obviously particularly through our ministry. Met a
So,
lot of people that have prostituted, but to like
like I
go from
wasn't
like I'm
lured
his,
by a man with, yeah,
yeah,
no,
like 6 months ago I'm this dental
I
assistant. I
still
make good
was.
money and everything.
Yeah.
And even though you started smoking cocaine, you're burning up all your money. Like to make that move that quick. That's where I'm always sort of like, so
So
how did that?
when I lived at Connie's and I had that upstairs dormer, when her
Okay.
sister and her 4 kids came in, one of them was a 16-year-old heroin addicted prostitute.
Okay.
So I was exposed to that and I knew about it.
Hmm.
And because she used to like tell me story, I'd be like freaked out, like, oh my God.
Right.
But I knew what was possible. I even knew where to go.
Hmm.
Like,
Okay.
and plus it was right down at the end of my grandma's street, actually. That's
Really?
why grandma didn't want us, because she was on 8
Where
Mile.
did you guys live at when you were in
So
Detroit?
my grandma was off of 8 Mile, like 1 block south of 8 Mile, between Ryan and DeQuinder.
Oh yeah. So yeah, you
Hot
were,
spot.
yeah. And in
So
the
we seen
80s.
it. We seen that's when it was just coming out too.
Hmm.
But so we would see the girls in the mini skirts when we were going to school at 6:30 in the morning. So I
Wow.
kind of already knew all about it,
Hmm.
and because of the stories that Mickey used to tell me, like I knew it was easy.
Okay. So yeah, you're this. So yeah. So now
I
you're
pimp
within
myself out. Yeah,
6 months
basically.
of
Yeah.
smoking some cocaine for the first time. Now you're walking 8 Mile in your scrubs.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
going to work the next day, like going to do
Wow.
oral surgery on people and like falling asleep holding the aspirator, you know,
Wow.
like, and then finally I, because I'm going in late, I'm calling in sick, I'm not showing up, or I'm leaving early, like I'm having that kind of erratic behavior. And on Fridays, the doctor and I would always be at the office by ourselves. He would catch up on his charting, and I would do the lab work and order supplies and all that kind of stuff. And I went in, and I was like, I know there's something wrong, and yes, it is drugs. And not only can I not give you 2 weeks notice, I got to go right now. Like, here's the keys.
Mm.
And I bolt. And I go to my apartment and I pack everything up.
Did it ever occur to you that
To get help?
yes?
No.
Mhm.
I like I said, it's like I loved it.
Mm.
I didn't have panic attacks. I didn't have anxiety. I didn't even think about, oh my God, is he okay? Is he okay? Is he okay? The whole time, because you're just numb.
Yeah, you just an escape,
Yeah.
total escape from reality. You know.
Yeah. And that was my obsession. So I did. I basically packed everything up, put it in storage, and just drove down to Detroit, checked into like the sleaziest looking motel that I could, and close to the Stroll.
And you're like 30 at this point, or how long
I
were
was
you able to?
29, like yeah. So, but yeah, 29, almost 30.
Yeah.
But with a baby face, no. But yeah, and just started meeting people. But so I knew, like, that's something easy to figure out how to do. But all the game, I was very naive. So I was definitely taken advantage of. I was definitely like abused and used out there by, other addicts, other boys, men, whatever you want to say, that were also addicts, that were in love with you just because you could make more money than they could. Right. So like I lived that way like for about 5 years. And then
Where would you be staying?
at the hotels. Yeah, different hotels. Yeah. I mean, and even at one time, like in between, boyfriends, like I actually literally, like your stereotypical hooked up with the real Kango wearing pimp with 4 other prostitutes in a one room in a hotel at Connor and Gratiot. Like all of us, like, because we weren't allowed to sleep. This is like I'm saying, this is where you start getting really taken advantage of. Like, there's no such thing as an independent contractor out there. You are working for somebody at some point, at some time. Like, you can't keep all your money. If they run drugs in that neighborhood, you got to pay them dues. You got to pay something. So you better find somebody that will be your like guy to protect you, because then you don't have to pay all these people.
So yeah, I mean,
Like, it's a racket. It's
yeah. So and how did you learn that? You probably were out there, and then what? Somebody comes up to you and is like, "Yo." Like
yeah,
this.
basically like drive up on you. If you're gonna work out here, you gotta buy all your dope from me, and you gotta pay me a percentage of what you owe, what you make.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what would they do? Be watching you? or how would they
You know,
keep
and
tabs on it?
there was times because a lot of bad things. Sometimes like they would even send people out to pick you up and pretend to be a customer
Wow. Okay.
and just take your money.
Wow.
Yeah, like I can't even. We don't have to. Let's just lump it all into like there was rapes, there was beatings, there was robberies, there was kidnaps, tortures. There was all kind of stuff going on, and I lived like that for 5 years, day in day out, using and abusing, and till I finally committed a felony crime, assaulted one of the guys that I was dating.
Okay.
Okay. We were both at fault, but I was like the more aggressor, where like I literally did try to kill him. And it was in Macomb County, so that was not good. So I was sentenced to prison, 14 months to 10 years. And so I go into prison. I do a year in prison, but because it's my first time in trouble, they give me boot camp. So I get like a 90-day boot camp and I get out on parole. And I'm almost like going to do good.
How old are you now? 35?
I think I was 34,
34?
34, 35, something like that. Yeah, because I'll go to boot camp with all these like young kids coming in because they would even, and this is boot camp when they used to shave your head and everything. Like I had a shaved head, so I already had like some little bit of white hairs coming in. And they'd be like, "How old are you, Grandma?"
Oh my
Like,
goodness.
but boot camp was probably like it was hard, and I laid down and put my hands behind my back, like cuff me up, take me back, because it was that hard physically, mentally, and everything. Like the first week, but the sergeant wouldn't let me quit, and by the time I got out, because I had already done a year in prison, I was like in the worst shape of my life going there. Like men go to jail and they work out, they get healthy, they do all this. Women go there, eat, and watch TV. That's all they do. Like nobody's like
Yeah, so you had to do a year and then finish with boot camp before you got
yeah. Then I
released.
got on parole, and then
Okay.
I was sent to a halfway house, like a 3/4 house, because I had no family to
And where
tether
was
to.
that?
That was at Sylvester and Mac. That was like Van Dyke and Gratiot.
Yeah, let's parole you to
Well, I
like
had nowhere to go. So, but honestly, like I did well for the very first 3 months. And like I literally took a bus to Macomb Mall, made the lady at Burger King hire me on the spot. Like I turned all my negative into good.
okay.
Like, told like, yeah, I did just get out of prison. I am on parole. I'm staying at this halfway house, but it wasn't theft and it wasn't this. It was a domestic situation.
It was I
Right?
tried to murder
No,
someone.
I just said it was a domestic situation.
But I didn't steal
So I'm
nothing.
like not a thief, and yeah, my parole officer, she's going to be calling you all the time, bothering you, asking me how I'm doing. But I go, that's going to ensure I'm going to do a good job. I'm going to come in late. I'm going to come in early. I'm going to stay late. I'm going to do all the crap jobs nobody wants to do. And she was like, "Can you start tomorrow?"
Yeah.
And I did. Like so, and I was doing that somewhere, and it's always somewhere. Like just so happens, like the devil just sends somebody to you. I was walking from the Burger King there. There was like 2 blocks over was the post office in Roseville. I was mailing because I was like a faithful friend, still writing my friends in prison and sending them cheer cards. And I'd do a lot of arts and crafts, making things and sending them. And I had to go to the post office, and right at the drive-through of the post office was this old man. He was like 80 years old, lonely. And I dropped the cards. He picked them up and put them in. Then as I was walking away, "Hey, miss, would you mind having dinner with me?" And sure, and I was like, "Yeah, sure," because I was only allowed to go to and from work. So I go out with this guy for dinner, and all of a sudden, right in the back of my head, widow, no kids, retired from Chrysler, like a fortune. Like I'm thinking, but I'm only thinking of not to get me dope. Like I need a phone. Now we're getting cell phones are out now. I can get a phone. I can get this, and maybe he'll help me get a car. And I kind of like I threw the hook out. Like, I would be great if I could get a bus pass, so I don't have to pay them. And so he like literally hands me $100 right there just for that. I was like, oh. So he starts helping me, and he's going to help me pay off all these tickets that I have. Because I would always do I would get stopped. I would get like prostitution tickets and
Yeah.
whatever false information to the police, and they just bond out, never come back, bond out, never come back. I like at one point had 13 warrants out at 5 different counties.
Wow.
So he was paying these all off, and as we were going around doing this, and again, here comes Satan, calls the guy, he has to go. But we still had to get to Detroit and pay Detroit tickets. We were saving that one for last. We were doing all the Macomb County, and that was the big one. And I talk him into like getting me the $500, and I'll just take the bus down, and I'll pay it and go back to the group home. Because I tell him I'm there for it's a domestic violence shelter.
Okay.
You know, I don't tell him I don't tell the old man I'm on parole. I told the Burger King lady the truth about everything, but you know, you can't tell this
Yeah.
fragile old man. But so and he does, and of course, the first thing I do, I don't even try to go pay a ticket. The first thing I do, I got $600 cash in my pocket. I call a guy that I used to get high with, like, let's go get a room, and then I'm back running again. And then
absconded, probably.
once I reinitiated that taste, then the next, I ended up, bottom line, we'll just tell. So the sentence was 14 months to 10 years. I do the whole entire 10 years by going back and forth, TRV, return to prison, TRV, treatment. So I do the whole 10 years. Now, in the midst of this, so that started from 2002 to 2015. It takes me 13 years to do 10 years because sometimes I've got 10 days out. Sometimes I got 15. Sometimes I got 8 months out. Like I might have a good run. But they were always around the corner because I'm always, and the only time I would go to the report for parole was the day I got out and they drove you there. They drop you off, I sign my reinstatement papers, and then I'm off and running.
And would they, every time, all these times that you'd go back in and then you'd get paroled back out, would you...
First day.
But would you get paroled right back down into the same spot all the time, or just
I never had a place to go. Like I don't have family. Like usually you have a cousin or something.
But like all the halfway houses and stuff that you were going to.
There was like different shelters that they would parole me to, like Matt's shelter or something on the Salvation Army. There's different places.
And where were they at?
There, the one time was in Mount Clemens. I was at that one. One time was at on Mound and 10 Mile. They were all Macomb County because my offense happened in Macomb County. So I was a Macomb County parolee.
Okay.
So they were always be in Macomb County.
So so some of the areas were...
Yeah. They were good areas, but I like I said, I would take my parole office at Gratiot and Cass. So I hopped the 560 straight to Detroit and then see ya.
Yeah.
You know, that was back then.
So yeah, you end up maxing out your 10 years. It takes you 13 years. You're how old at that point? Like late 40s at that point?
Something like 44.
Okay, so...
Yeah, 44.
Yeah.
So I think when, and maybe... I think it was like in 2012. So in between all these bits is when I ran into the All Worthy of Love women. Mm-hmm. And they used to come out every week, every Monday night. They would come out, and by this time, I'm trafficking down like John R. between 8 Mile and 6 Mile. That was their day to go there, and they give you lunch bags, hygiene kits, and they would pray over you. And so every time I would be out there, they would, always show up with these smiles and everything, and give you gifts and pray over you. And at first, I was like very uncomfortable about the whole, because mind you, like I wanted to live as far separated from God. Like I loved being a rebel. I loved being rebellion. I loved being like, I always had this like notion in my head that if I was going to suffer consequences and all these bad things in my life, that I should deserve them. And in my mind, I didn't deserve any of that. I was a good kid. I was a good wife. I was a good mother. Like even after all those bad things that happened, that should have been the time where I ended up on crack. For real, like coming out of Vista Maria, but I still like kept it together to go to school, to get a job, to do all these things. So in my mind, like God owed me something big. I did not owe him anything in my mind.
Yeah. Like
so when they start wanting to pray and talking about Jesus loves you and this and that and his riches and mercy and all this stuff, and I'd be like, oh my. But you can't, like, you have to be nice. Like they just gave you food, clothing, sometimes, like all this stuff. And I want the gifts. Mm-hmm. So I would like,
Is All Worthy of Love, do they still?
They're still around their nation. She's, Lindsay has like made, she moved to Texas, so she's got different, and they even have one in South Africa. I was just talking with her.
Why don't you explain to them a little bit exactly what they're? I mean, it's such a great ministry.
It's outreach street ministry. Like I said, they go down where the needs are for people in homelessness, prostitution, drug addiction, and they don't just work with the women; they help men too.
Okay.
And they even have some men that are in the vans, and they actually have a tracker that follows them just in case, because they are going into like the places like we as normal people would never want to go. Like boldly, faithfully professing
Yeah,
the
it's
love
not
of Christ.
safe. Yeah.
It's insane how like they're just go out there and smiles and this and don't look at you with one kind of pity, not one kind of shame. It's
It's powerful.
it is so
And they
powerful.
develop relationships, don't they? So they developed a
They
relationship with
knew
you.
my name every week, and they knew everybody else's name. You're remembering 100 different drug addicts in each neighborhood, because every day it was a different location that they would go to. But I couldn't even remember the four of them.
Yeah. So they'd come in, yeah, they might give you a bag of hygiene stuff, some
Sandwiches,
food,
snacks, all of that.
and then
Yeah.
would they say things like, "Hey, do you want help?" Or would they
They
ever?
would say, "Can we pray for you?" And then, they would pray over you. And like, yeah, they would just try and talk to you and see what's going on. And they would never pressure you to, go get help. But made it known that if you ever wanted to, that they had a place that they would bring them to.
Okay.
And
So yeah, these people are this group. They're coming down to talk to you. Where does that all have lead? Or
so
you
basically,
finished your bit. Now you're free. Aren't
okay,
you?
finally,
At that point.
well, in between, like I met them before. So
Okay.
like sometimes I would be locked up. They'd be like, "Oh my God, Lisa, well, we were hoping you were locked up," because they hadn't seen me for a while,
Yeah.
And then, yeah, in 2015, I maxed out. And that was that last year. Now that I'm totally free and I have no consequences legally, things like these seeds that they have been planting have been like taking root in my brain. Like even in their gift bags, they would have like scriptures inside them, like, different things, which I would wrap my dope in because, I'm a fiend and stick it in here. And then every time I go to use it, then of course I read,
Yeah.
for God so loved the world or whatever, things like that, and stick it back and then
Planting
see.
seeds. Yeah.
So right, like it would start taking root, and I did. I had some tragedies happen. Like I said, it was commonplace, and I chalk it up to the game. Like if you got raped or beat up or robbed, because that's just what happens. You get so callous to it that you don't even get upset or cry about it. You get mad about it. Because I just had an hour of my time wasted and I still have no money to go get dope. And you have to go home, clean up, change, and get right back out and do it again. So that's where the mind frame is. So, the house that I had become valuable to. I befriended one of the dope men, and I helped run the house. So I had like a lot of privileges. I could have dates there for free. I got discounts on. Plus, they paid me in dope to watch over things, whatever. One of the times, so we had gotten the week before. One of the rival gangs came and shot through the windows. I don't know. Dink got shot 13 times. Not one bullet hit me. I don't know. He got shot 13 times. They came right up to the window and shot through the front window. So that was a little nerve wracking, you know. And then about a week later, now they're afraid to be in the house. So they started like staying at the house next door with this girl. Like they were all taking turns like sleeping with her, like, whatever. And she was loving it, whatever. But I was still at this house by myself. That when people would come to get the things, they'd give me the money. I'd get it through the window in the driveway and serve it, because now they're afraid to be in this house. But I was living there by myself, and I actually I was getting high one day, and I had a candle and I knocked it over and passed out from the heroin. And I woke up like with the flames hitting on my face. And instead of grabbing my phone and my things and getting out, my first thought is, I got to save the house. Like it had become so valuable. This is my bread and butter. This is, this, whatever. Like I start running in and out and trying to put the fire out. With these buckets of water, because we didn't have running water. I had to go to the lady's house, the next door neighbor, with the spigot. Every time I came in, and by the time I just finally gave up, and the house burned down. And because I had tried so hard, maybe 5 times in and out, all that black smoke, I had such damage in my lungs, like I couldn't even talk.
Wow.
I had like a tear in my side. I didn't know all this until later when I went to the doctor, but I refused to help even when the EMS got there, because, the fire trucks, everybody came. Like, I mean, the house burnt down. But I didn't, like I said, I refused help.
Where was that at?
That was on Derby Street in Winchester. It was like 8 Mile and John R. 1 block
Okay.
west of John R. 1 block south of 8 Mile, right down there. I still had like a pack of heroin in my pocket. Like I wasn't going no doctor. Like I'm gonna go search one of these houses and find like an empty, like a dirty syringe on the ground because all my stuff burned up. But so that was like maybe on a Friday or something, and then that Monday, and I see Courtney and them on the, and they were like, "Oh my God, Lisa, what happened? We heard about." And I tell them, and something came over me, and like all along I had been already having like these feelings of guilt, like feelings of like, just things going, and I just
Like, what am I doing?
no, it wasn't even like doom. It was just like I knew I didn't belong where I was, like that I wasn't supposed to be there. And I fell to the ground and I literally cried out to God, like, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. And I heard him. And I know people say, like, oh, yeah, she's crazy, just like her mother. I heard God, like, come, I will give you rest. And I, like, even when I got up, because I did it, it's like what we were talking about in church yesterday. Like, some people had, that was me. I was like, yeah, that was me. I had that knock you on your feet, like, awakening. And when I got up and I looked around and I seen all the evil around me, but I seen what was worse, the evil that was inside of me. That made me like sick to my stomach. Like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah, you like saw yourself for the first time.
But I generally was afraid too of all the other people that my family and all these people that had my back. And now that I felt, and I swear that must have been like the Holy Spirit jumping into my body. That's what knocked me. And the scales fall off. I guess that's what they call that too, because I had fresh eyes. Everything looked new. Everything was different. I had a whole kind of feeling about me that you can't explain. Right. And so when I tell them, like, they said, if you're really serious, give us a call and give me a business card. We'll come get you tomorrow. And they did.
Wow.
So they picked me up and they took me to treatment. They take me down to QBH, which is the state funded rehab downtown. And I give them all my information. This is another beautiful gift from God. They run my numbers and they come back and tell me I got this Blue Cross insurance. And Courtney's so excited. She's like, why didn't you tell me you got Blue Cross? I'm going to take you someplace nice. I'm like, lady, I only have Blue Cross. Like, I got divorced in 92 and I haven't worked since 97. This is 2016. Like almost 20 years. Like, I don't even have Medicaid because I'm too doped up all the time to go even apply and get a Medicaid card, right? I got nothing. And they're like, well, they said it's you. We got to go to Henry Ford on the boulevard and they're going to make arrangements. So I'm there for a few hours, whatever. And the social worker comes up and I still got the paper too. I love it. Where it says, like, dear Miss King, you are being taken by cab to Maple Grove Rehabilitation Center in West Bloomfield. Now, this is like $1,000 a day rehab with private rooms, 24-hour pantry, personal chef, workout center, like massage chairs, like all of it, right? All of it. And it's a medical facility. It's not just rehab, not just detox and clean you up and kick you out. Like, it's they're connected to Henry Ford Medical, right? So I get the work over and everything. That's where I found out I had all that. Because I still couldn't even talk. Like, I had to, like, basically push on this just to get a little bit of voice out. Like,
you end up, you end up having Blue Cross insurance, which is just like a gift from God. So
I still have it. 10 years later, I still do.
What is your? I've been thinking about that. What is your? Whatever happened with your ex-husband? I mean, does he? I guess my bigger question is
he never remarried. He never dated anybody, and he ended up. He's an alcoholic.
Is he? But does he have Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance that somehow it was tied to that marriage or something?
No, because what we had through his work, we had to pay for out of his check.
Yeah, I wonder how.
And I've done research on it, and it became effective in 2013. Which would have been in the height of my career out there. Yeah. So it could have been, and maybe it is. Maybe I do have a generous benefactor because I did not meet only dirt balls. There were some very nice, classy people that.
Yeah.
So it's very possible. I don't know, but it is my social security number. It's my birthday, and if somebody's stealing my identity, too bad.
Yeah.
Like,
So yeah. So
but I
yeah.
don't know who would want to be me at that point.
So you go to treatment. Uh, the women from All Worthy of Love and stuff. That right? They
They
took
stick
your.
with me. They visit me every single week.
Mm.
They make sure that
How long were you in there?
okay, so I was at Maple Grove for 3 weeks, and then I did go to a 1 year faith based program in Detroit. It was very intense. It was a lot of Bible study, a lot of church every single day. It was intensive. It was like boot camp,
Bible boot camp.
Bible boot camp,
Yeah.
right? And that's where I found out about that scripture, that was really an actual scripture that come to me, all you who are weak and heavy with burden, and I will give you rest for your soul. Take my yoke upon you, was Matthew 11,
Wow.
28 through 30. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I heard. Like that was a promise of God.
Yeah.
Like the first one. So that became like a special verse to me. Like that, I always held that dear because that, and I got the chills. Like my hair just stood up because it takes you to that day one. It takes me right back to the street corner, right when I heard that voice and I heard God, and
Yeah.
just that. Even though I was like such an idiot, I mean, I was a double S person, like the biggest, like how could you be even more separated from God the way I was living and didn't care? Because it's not that I didn't know God existed. I did, but I didn't care. There's a big difference.
Sure.
Right? There's a difference from the people that live in jungles that never even heard of Jesus Christ, but then to know and grow, whatever, and then get mad and then try to like get even with God.
Yes, but yeah, he showed up in.
And now, and you don't notice it at the time, but when you get further in your recovery and further in your faith and you look back like, yeah, there's no way that 13 gunshots through the window and every single one of them hit the guy next to you. There's no way that you were kidnapped and tied in a basement and then you got let free. There's no way.
Yeah.
Like, and obviously, like, okay, I'm 57 now. So I had like a good 25 years out in the streets, hard life. How am I not permanently disfigured, missing a limb or an eyeball? Because I know so many other people, they put cigarettes out in their eye. Like there's like, or like that too. Like, how am I not just bat?
Yeah, you had
crazy?
Hosea, literally, right? I mean, it's like a perfect example of Hosea and Gomer.
Yeah.
Hosea was following you around, protecting you and sending his people to watch out for you.
And it's the women too. And like I said, that was like, and this is 10 years later, like Courtney and them were like they look at me like no different.
Yeah.
Even when I had a relapse and then fell back out there and then came back in. And then
yeah, so you were in this program for about a year. You actually ended up getting asked to leave there.
In my 7th month, I was kicked out, had nowhere to go. But and again, God provided. That very next day, I had a funeral to attend to that Courtney and them took me to the funeral anyway. Because I was supposed to go with the people at the recovery center, but it was a friend of mine, so they still took me. And while we were at the funeral, Courtney told me she heard God's telling her to talk to this lady. You got to talk to this lady. And she happened to run a halfway house for Christians called Gateway to Glory.
Okay.
That's run out of Bethesda Church off of 16 and Shaner. So I got into housing immediately. Wow. And the same thing like the Burger King lady. I went and conned some lady into giving me a job like first day out.
Con somebody.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I have that gift of gab.
Yeah.
I turned all my negative into positive and I got hired on the spot. So I started working right away. And of course, it's always, no offense, Darren, but that one guy that calls you up and you will drop everything and go running. And he does. This is a guy I was with for like 8 years out in the streets. And he calls, and of course I relapse and I'm back out there again. And then of course Courtney and them, they're just like, they don't think of, they're not mad. And that's when they start saying, go to Grace Centers of Hope. It's not going to be like that other place. They have more freedom. I think they have a little more grace involved with it, because it was very unfair the way I got kicked out. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't break a rule, but they said my attitude was detrimental to the other resident. I don't know.
They probably had their reasons.
there's more to it, but I mean, I didn't break rules. It wasn't like fraternizing. It wasn't like getting high. It wasn't like
You weren't a victim.
you know,
We won't go there.
I was real good at playing a victim, though. I bet I can convince you I was.
Right. Yeah.
But anyway,
So anyway, yeah. So
that's how I come to Grace Centers
yeah.
of Hope. And so, but this is back in 2017, and I do.
But by this point now, too, though, so God really, obviously, God, like we were saying, I mean, He has been protecting you and guiding providing in all these different ways,
opening doors,
ways you'll never know until you get to glory how often He really was, and then you really feel like through the women in All Worthy of Love and Courtney that God spoke to you this day, or at least convicted you, convinced you.
Yeah.
Right. And then from there, though, you do go to this program where you learn a lot about. So at this point, you're a Christian, right?
Oh yeah,
I'm definitely a Christian.
My salvation was instantaneous. It was the sanctification that I'm still going through.
Sure, all of us.
And I call these last 8 years, or what, from 2017 to now, 8 years. Like my psychosis of sanctification, because I had a lot of issues of pride, arrogance, rebellion. And back then, Pastor Clark and Pam were running the show, right? And, I love her though. She with her sweet little Southern thing, she'll put you in your place. But, I still thought I knew it all. And because of that background at this seminary school, I thought I was better than everybody else. Like, so I did have I needed some humbling. I needed humbling. So I had a few setbacks. I had a few things, but this final time, and this was go back now to 2023, because now I left in 2019 on my own, and I'm going to make it happen. I don't need anybody. I don't, this, and I falter a little in my faith. I stop, because I got a little, above myself or above God.
Yeah, we all do. Yeah.
So full of it, right?
Part of the Christian life, yeah.
And then end up, then I'm like suicidal.
Okay.
I'm like suicidal, living in a hotel at 8 Mile in Greenfield, a crack dealer downstairs. Like, it's just back out. I stay off of heroin though. That's the one plus. I do have like 6-7 years clean from that, but I'm still crack smoking every day, drinking now. Whatever. And literally the man that I'm living with, he didn't do any drugs. He didn't drink. He didn't even smoke cigarettes. He'd worked all day. So I had run of the hotel all day, and he would give me money on an allowance every day to get high with. So I didn't even really have to prostitute or anything anymore. But he was a diabetic. And so, I mean, I'm like getting high listening to Stephen Furtick's sermons.
Oh, wow.
So I don't even enjoy it anymore. I'm just doing it to do it. I just felt like, why doesn't God even want me? Like, I tried so hard. I tried so hard to be good, Lord. I did here I'm getting good. I'm listening. I'm doing this. I'm volunteering. I'm doing. Yeah. And not receiving. Like, that was the psychosis, right? That's what I called my psychosis of sanctification. But, but I would I still listen like Christian rap. I'm getting high and doing these things. I'm like, I just give up. I was going to kill myself. So I'm like Googling how much insulin would it take for me to die? Like how to overdose. Cause he had the insulin pens in the hotel room. And I've got like 2 pens ready to put them both in me. But then I'm freaking out. Like, I'm going to end up like my mother. I'm going to be a vegetable. Cause there was that chance you could be, in a coma. A diabetic coma if a non-diabetic person injects that much insulin. I said, oh yeah, that would be me. That would be my luck. And that's like kind of, but I like, and a few times, and then this is, see, like now, like people are gonna be like, oh, she's so full of it. But no, this is now second time I definitely hear God again. I hear it in my head. He said, when are you going to go back to finish what you started? He meant come back to Grace, because even though I was here for 16 months, I didn't graduate. I never made it out of the center. I didn't get into aftercare. I was in aftercare, but I didn't get into aftercare.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? You get a couple of lockdowns, a couple of kickouts, come back, start over, come back. I wasn't doing the program the way you're supposed to do the program. Mm-hmm. Or allowing, I would take a little bit and then get, whatever, right. Prideful, rebellious, anyway, stubborn.
So you ended up coming back.
So, and yeah, because God commanded me to. And he also, like, that was a long story I forgot to tell about, but like, I had an experience where this old man said he drove 2 hours to give me this wooden pen that was from an olive tree in Jerusalem. And at the time I seen the thing, it said something about a book, and I just made a joke. I thought, like, and he said, when are you going to write that book? And so I called my friend Tammy, who was my roommate at this other place. I said, Tammy, I said, like, you're not even going to believe this. I said, I got to write. Remember that old man with the pen? Because she was with me when that guy gave it to me. We were leaving a church service. She was like, yeah. I said, I got to write a book and I got to go to Grace Centers of Hope to do it. I know. She was like, well, that's what we do.
Whatever it takes. Yeah.
She's like, well, you've met Tammy. She walked me down the aisle, right?
Yeah.
So she's so grounded. So she helps me gather everything out of the hotel and pack it up and take it away. And she picks me up the next day. I go back to Maple Grove again.
Okay.
I still got my good insurance. So I go there and then I come back through. And this time it's all different. And I remember calling Courtney because, like I said, they still are my friends.
Yeah.
Like, they went on vacation. They paid me to go sit in their house and watch their dog and feed their dog. Like, trust me like that.
Yeah. So you came back here, and obviously God has been working in your life, and you have a whole new.
I had a
real
whole
future
new
in front of you.
understanding of what is expected of me. Be obedient, be humble, be available, be open, be receptive. And that, like, God was very clear. Like, the two commands, I had to complete the program. So I couldn't come in here and talk about, oh, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to do
Right.
this, me.
Yeah.
1 year, silent, sit, be still, listen. And I actually, like, worked with my case manager, Linda, and then she'll tell you, because then it was funny because she made a comment, something about, like, oh, was it? Guy said, oh, I owe a lot to you. She said, wasn't always like that. I said, but then it wouldn't have been real. If there wouldn't have been times where you threw me out of your office and slammed the door on me, because she did.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miss Linda, like, the sweet lady. But I brought it out. But I actually worked through things and allowed it, and I did my, and I still do. I get in. I'm in a relationship now.
Yeah.
I'm not just trying to please God. I mean, I live to please God. Like, I want to please God, but I don't think I'm pleasing God. Does that even make sense?
Yeah.
You know,
I think that's the difference between really understanding the gospel and religion. A person.
Right.
I think our natural tendency is to try to earn it from God, and then.
But we also
then he
expect
owes
to pay
us.
for it too, and that's where I was at. Like, because during that psychosis stage of my salvation, or sanctification, I'm thinking, like, okay, I did this, I should have this, and this, and
Well,
I
yeah.
still got nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what are you going to do
That's
for
religion.
me? Like some Janet Jackson kind of ministry. Like, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah. Which is what leads to pride and self-righteousness.
So full of pride.
Yeah. And thinking that God owes us something. So, yeah, so now you're married, you met Matthew, you're married, and tell them a little bit
let me
about-
tell you. Can I tell you about Matthew? So this is so crazy. So, like, okay, I've been here now 2 years. So I've got more than 2 years clean. Now I'm starting to venture out into, like, how we're supposed to. We don't stay in this little grace bubble. I go out to other churches. I go to different meetings, and I'm always preaching the gospel. I'm always preaching Grace Centers of Hope. I'm always doing, like, telling my story and what God did for me and how he continues to do for me. And, and I'm not going to bash AA or NA, but I always, like, throw it out there, like, this is the only way. Like, you can fake it through them programs, but if you don't take Christ, like, I don't get that kind of reception everywhere, but I'll tell it because it's the truth. So I was at a church one day, and I'm giving well, first of all, I went to the Blue Book banquet because my friend Craig bought tickets. So I took Heather. She's another employee from Grace. Heather. And we went to this banquet. And he had bought a bunch of tickets. So he brought some guys that were from the Salvation Army. They had gone through the program a long time ago. Craig's a guy that I've known for like 30 years. He actually used to run us around to these different appointments out in the streets. But he's clean now too and saved and loves Jesus also. So, and he ended up, Matthew was one of the guys that he brought to this thing. And so he was talking, like, he's new, he's trying to find out. And I tell him about these Celebrate Recovery I go to over on Utica Road at this one church. And I go there the next day, and he was there. And it's the day that I'm giving my testimony. And I get
Mm-hmm.
to the part about like hearing God, on the street corner, and then I talk about how that I've learned that it's scripture after I go through some Bible studying and this. And he comes up to me afterwards and he said, "Hey, did you know that that's me? I'm Matthew 11:28." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
He said, "My name is Matthew, and I was born on November 28th."
Mm-hmm.
I like
That was a
literally.
good pickup line. Good job, Matthew.
I mean, we're married. See,
Yeah.
so, but yeah,
Yeah.
and but no, I like felt it just, and no different and kind of in a less creepy way, like when how I had that feeling that my son had passed away. Like I felt it like he's going to be your husband. And mind you, like right before, like on the way to this meeting, I pick up a couple of my friends to take them to this meeting. And she's asking me if I want to. I was like, no, I got a lot going on. I'm not even interested in dating anybody. I'm writing a book. I'm like, because I have been
Mm-hmm.
doing that. Um,
Good for
and
you.
like that's not, I have no room for that in my life right now. I'm working with God on this thing, and he's given me these commands, and I'm going to be obedient, and I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. And boom, he was there. Like within 10 minutes, this,
Yeah.
like
It's
that's
amazing.
it. So God definitely did send him to me.
Yeah, and so now you guys are married, and it's amazing to see what God is doing in both of your lives. And so tell them about
So
this contest though you're
okay,
in.
so I don't know. I was just like scrolling on Facebook one day, and there was something about that Jeff Goldblum and his wife. They're sponsoring
Mm-hmm.
this America's favorite couple. So and it says like how and it's limited. Like obviously I talk a lot, so you got to like really scale down how you met, your favorite memory, and like what there's like an opportunity for the grand prize winner to win $20,000 and to also get a article in this Variety
Mm-hmm.
magazine. And my first thought was like, of course 20,000 is great, but I want this magazine article. I want to be on a nationwide
Mm-hmm.
platform where I can tell my story about what God, and that's what basically our
Mm-hmm.
whole description is how we met is because of this testimony and the Matthew 11:28 connection. And we've been it started like it's a whole summer long. You got to go through round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4, the top 20, top 10. We're in the top 5 right now.
Yeah, people vote, right?
You vote on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
It's a free vote. There's a certain link, and like today's like this. We're like actually we fell because we were in first place, second. We're in fourth place right now. But as after tonight, only the top couple will
So,
advance.
ooh, really? So,
Yeah,
yeah, so you got to go. So basically, you want them to go to your
vote for
Facebook
the
page.
Hamiltons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, yeah, or go because your link is probably on your Facebook page, right?
yeah, it is.
So Lisa King
King
and
Hamilton.
Lisa, yeah, that's right, Lisa King
King
Hamilton.
Hamilton. Yeah.
And then
The one with the pink hair.
you have a picture of the pink hair. So
Yeah.
vote for that because you're going to give the $20,000. What you said to Grace and
Well, I'm going to
to
split it between
all
the All
worthy of
Worthy of
love.
Love, like, cause,
Mm-hmm.
and I even pledged that to God. Like I said, I really want the platform just to speak of the glory of God and the
Mm-hmm.
amazing love, so people can see how He loves His children just by the way He treated me. If He could treat
Yeah.
like some low life junkie hooker and redeem all of that. And
Yeah.
bring it to something like elevated where people actually say, "You're such an inspiration," or "Wow," like
So what?
who would have ever
Let me
said
ask you this.
that
So
without
what is
Jesus?
it? What is it about the gospel that has changed you? I mean, what is it that
So
impacts you?
the difference between when I first tried, like, because I don't try, I'm just me. But like by every day, and I'm praying like guide me, lead me, show me what I need to know for the day, let me like help in whatever way I can, wherever I can, and I just like it's something like you don't even like you don't try to do it, just starts happening.
Mm-hmm.
And like things like that, you don't have to white knuckle it to not do something.
Yeah.
Like you just naturally like somebody will like spew off on you and like, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way, and that's genuine, not
Yeah.
like and you like get back at them,
Yeah.
right?
So
Like
what
things
about?
just naturally evolve.
So there are people who are watching, who are listening, who, man, are in some really difficult positions. I mean, what would you What would you tell? What would you tell? Not only just that, but like maybe one way to communicate that would be, what would you tell yourself, 20 years ago, or whatever. I mean, what knowing now what you do, what would you say to somebody who's out there who's struggling or hurting, or people who have family members that are? Or,
I guess the most important thing, like, every life is precious. Every life is beautiful and every person is loved. And every person matters. Whether you believe it or not, like, all that stuff is obviously he did use all this bad for good,
mm-hmm.
because he brought me through it. He gave me strength. He lifted me up, and now I can, like, go out and tell other people, like, no, you're never too far gone. You're never, like you said it in the beginning, you're never too far away or lost or broken that he can't fix it. We have like a miracle, like, resurrection power of Jesus Christ,
Mm-hmm.
like him put anything back together and restore it and give you abundantly more than what you
Mm-hmm.
ever even thought you could have had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and all of that. I mean, I'm sure there are women, just men and women, who have that sense of, whether they can articulate it or recognize it, but that desire for love that you
Yeah.
so desperately wanted, desire for family. They've experienced all kinds of abandonment, rejection, abuse in ways in their life that it's impacting who they are, what they think about themselves, what they're uh, just what they not just believe about themselves, but what God thinks about them, and that they're no good. And man, the reason why we so desperately desire those things is because God created you for it. God made you to be loved and made you with significance and worth and value.
Yeah.
But those things won't really truly be fulfilled and experienced unless when you learn about the gospel, that God loves us so much that he was willing, he didn't have to, you know, he voluntarily gave his life.
Yeah.
Not for you on your best day.
Mm.
He didn't look down on Lisa and be like, you know what, she's trying pretty hard. She's learned all this
Right.
scripture. I mean, he saw you right when you were grabbing the buckets of water, caring more about your dope in the house, or
Right.
then he loved you as much on that day as he did on your best day or your worst day. And becomes transforming when a person recognizes the grace of God. Your relationship with him is based solely in unconditional. I mean, that becomes transforming.
When you say unconditional, I think it's very important to remind everybody too. It wasn't just on my worst day; it was on all of my worst days.
Mm-hmm.
Because even after he picked me up and cleaned me up and brushed
Yeah.
me off and got me back together, and I kind of,
Yeah. Without
ran away.
excuse.
Time and time again. It wasn't just a
Mm-hmm.
one shot, like, I'm going to do this for you one
Mm-hmm.
time. He did it for me every single time and continues.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, it's not the dramatic, drastic, I got to get off of drugs or that. But there's a big difference of being clean and being cleansed.
Yeah. And being
So,
used by God. I mean, God
yeah.
has been protecting you and guiding you. I mean, man, that's why we need to be reminded about it all the time, because our natural inclination is to go back to, what, this is actually about me. This is this is,
I get so worried, like, because I'm afraid of pride,
mm-hmm.
honestly, because I
Should
know
be.
how I, like, even if I think I'm going to say something, like, sometimes it'd be like, what? I don't want to be, because I know, like I said, I've been writing a book, and that was another thing. Courtney is the one that had the lady that is a ghostwriter and editor and has got all these publishing connections.
Mm-hmm.
I took a whole year and wrote the book, and we're in the editing process. And she wanted me, because I was writing the story about Lisa. She says, "Well, you
Mm-hmm.
should make it more about you, like people can relate to it if it's your life story." And I'm like, "Yeah, I've kind of had issues with pride. I'd rather leave it in a third person sense."
Yeah.
like I'm
Yeah.
really afraid of becoming prideful again, because I know how destructive it can
Yeah.
be like you definitely like those who are last will be first, and those who are first will be last. Like
Yeah.
you have to like definitely know your place,
Mhm.
and and it is like
God gives grace to the humble.
definitely.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, I really, really, really appreciate your willingness to be vulnerable and share your story. I hope that people share this so that man, people, anybody who's out there who's lost and who's hurting, that is without hope in that place of darkness, they just are ashamed and full of guilt, or maybe it's not even those things. Maybe there's even just something that people are experiencing out there that they may not be nowhere near as destructive or challenging as what Lisa went through, but man, her whole reason of sharing her story is that if God could help, bring her through that, he can bring you through anything. As
Amen.
she mentioned, the same spirit that rose Christ from the dead is the same spirit that lives inside of you. If you confess to the Lord, ask him for faith and believe him, commit your life to him, man, there's no telling what God might do. You take your whole mess and make it into your message. So if you want to learn more about Grace Centers of Hope or Grace Gospel Fellowship, please go online, gracegospelfellowship.org, gracecentersofhope.org, or comment here. We'd love to connect you. I'm sure Lisa would love to connect with you, or I would. If you want to come out, if you're around the Detroit area, come on out to Grace Gospel Fellowship and worship with us, praise God with us, and meet some new people. Get in, and if you're not near us, get into a grace-centered, gospel-centered church and be part of something bigger than yourself. Thanks so much, Lisa.
Thank you.